I don't see the record indicator is coming up just yet. Oh,
It's showing,
I got it.
little
Yeah.
red recording dot.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. It's on for me. So um, we're underway. We're launching. Just moving away from the pier. I want to welcome you to this FDN 5001 class, and particularly to the Individualized Master's Program of Antioch University. If this is your first course and this is your first class, then I dare say this is a big deal. I think that it's really important that you have taken this step yourselves to to come forward to do something important, and I really want to honor that and honor you. I've been a part of the program in two variations of it for 12 years myself, since 2012. And the first version that I was involved in was called the Self-Design Graduate Institute. And you may have seen that term, self-design. It has also been applied to the IMA program. I was with a different entity that was trying to get a very similar program launched for several years out of Washington State, and we just could not. We could not crack the certification hurdle that the impediment that was set before us, and it was with much teeth gnashing and trepidation that we started to wind down that program about 2017, 2018. And fortuitously, we bumped into personnel from the IMA, and they said, well, we've been doing this program a long time, going back 35 years. And we kind of compared notes and went, that looks fabulous. Very aligned with what we were doing in the Self-Design Graduate Institute. And I said, could we, our canoe join your canoe? And they said, yes, come on in. And so that's how there was an amalgamation with the IMA, and that's how I started to get involved. I had been teaching with this SDGI program, and what I remember from it was just the quality and the inspiring work that the students were bringing forward, and that included my wife, who was the very first graduand from the Self-Design Graduate Institute. And she had a wonderful experience in her graduate program, and a wonderful experience bringing to fruition her ideas for research. And I thought then and there, I thought, wow, this program is really so worthwhile. I've been involved in personalizing learning as an educator since the late 1980s, when I was a newly minted educator. And I just saw the benefits of it in so many different ways for younger students, for middle-aged students, or middle school students, teenagers, and then to see it also brought to fruition for adults was really, really satisfying to me. And so I got involved with the SDGI, eventually the IMA, and just a few years ago myself was when I decided I checked the watch kind of thing and went, wait a minute, I'm 59. What happened? Uh, I got some things that I really, really wanted to research myself. And I went, oh, if not now, when? And so that's when I started my PhD program in 2017 at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver. Um, and I just wrapped that up a year ago. I'm very satisfied with what I focused on through COVID, of course, and turned out to be a pretty good COVID project. And yeah, went through my defense just over a year ago, last week, and am very excited to move on from that. Of course, it's a wonderful feeling to be on the other side of that finish line, to have brought something to fruition in that way, a research project, and so I'm I'm really excited to join you in your studies here and to support you in ways that I'd like to offer. Um, I think that as when I said I think this is important work that you're doing, I don't wish to underestimate that at all. Or I'm not being facetious. I've seen dozens of students now who have gone through these turnstiles and on the path that you've chosen, and every one of them has done important work. And I congratulate them and wish you much success as you launch on your trajectory and your path. And I bring you greetings from other faculty members. Uh, Ashley Nielsen, I believe most of you have met. She's the chair or director of the program, along with Professor Joe Cronin, who I think is on sabbatical this year. They bring years, decades of experience as well to the program, and and offer their deepest best wishes in helping launch the course this year, and launch you on your path. We got, I think, 12 enrollees or registrants for this particular course. And based on the results of that doodle poll last week, we decided to split off into two different groups, one for tonight and one for Thursday night. I'm not teaching the Thursday night course. That will be another instructor, Peter Berg, and I've known Peter for a long time as well. Kind of all rattle around the same territory at different times if you're in this zone of supporting individualized or personalized learning. That's what I did my PhD research into, is the nature of human learning. And to be, put a fine point on it, my research was a phenomenological exploration of the nature of learning. And phenomenology is both a research methodology and a philosophy. And I found it to be really interesting and pertinent to what I was doing. It focuses on the science of human experience, and you don't need to know about what the particulars are of that tonight. Um, there's lots for you to discover in the weeks, months, and years ahead in this program. We're not going to try and cover it all tonight. We couldn't possibly do that. So just going to, my game plan for tonight is to say hello, introduce myself, give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves. And also, I got a checklist of a few things that I'd like to just show you so that you can, uh, find your way into this particular course, especially, and into the IMA. Um, on a footing that I hope will give you confidence um, moving forward. So, and let's see, it's quarter to 4 my time, and so quarter to 7 on the East Coast, I guess. And maybe we'll take a little break in half an hour. Okay, take a quick break. Um, but that's how I'd like to set the ball rolling tonight. Um, so that I can share my screen with you and show you some of go down that syllabus a little bit, click on a few links, get you oriented in some way to the nature of this course and some of the resources, references that are laid out for you on the banquet table. And also open it up to some Q&A. I'm sure you do have some questions and answers questions at this time. Um, and I'm interested in your thoughts. And I think maybe in the next 15 minutes, I'd like to give you a chance to just introduce yourself to your classmates. I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about you. I have several of you have already entered a short biographical profile in the AU Connect forum for this class. And that's where we'll be continue to do some conversing and sharing throughout this course. A little bit more on that later. But for the most part, let's open it up to a little bit of discussion here. I feel I have talked enough for the first 15 minutes here, and give you a chance to say hello and just say something about yourself and your interest. How did you find your way here? What would you most like to share with your classmates at this time? So, Sean, you're to my left in my Zoom gallery here. Why not you kick this off?
Sure. My name is Sean Stearns. I'm from the East Coast of United States of Maryland. Grew up here. I came to this line of education because it's something that I've always wanted that I put off for such a considerable amount of time in my life. So I was able to go into the humanities with the expectation or want to maybe be an art historian, or also do things with art, literature, and any general human expression over time. And I'm very interested in the mimicry of societies over the history of us from when we actually have written understandings of yesteryear. And I went to University of Maryland Global Campus, got my bachelor's degree just recently, finished that up, and I'm highly intimidated by a master's level program because I don't know anything about it, and I'm super analytical. So I'm just in my head a lot about that. So I'm just looking forward to the process and see where it takes me.
Okay. Thanks so much. Thanks for that. How about you, Cindy? You want to go next?
You bet. Hi, everyone. I just realized that I still had my work background on, but now I'm actually not at work. I'm a student. So I'm trying to remove that. It's part of me making the transition. So I work at Antioch. I've been at Antioch as an employee for 17 years, and I never took advantage of the educational offerings. I don't know why. I just never came up. So after a 30-year gap, I'm completing my bachelor's degree here at Antioch. The BA is in leadership and management. I'm actually concurrently finishing my senior project from my undergraduate program while taking this class, making me what Antioch refers to as a pathways student. I came to the MA because the IMA, because I've been in my career for 25 years. It was an accidental career, and I'll be glad to talk more about that later. But I was a development professional. I was a fundraiser, and I was really good at that. And then I ended up somehow in an IT career, and then I ended up working with data. And it turns out I have a real aptitude for that. But I don't have any degrees or certifications, and I work in higher ed, where degrees and certifications carry a lot of water. They carry a lot of weight. So I was looking for credibility in the eyes of my colleagues, to be honest. I was also looking to expand my learning specific to my field. So I looked at the MBA program that is offered as part of the graduate management programs here, but I didn't want to study business law. And I'm not interested in strategic marketing strategies for the digital era. I'm very interested in change management and organizational behavior and women's leadership in a field that is traditionally dominated by men, all in the context of data management and data governance in the higher education sector. So that's the area of my focus. It's what I've been focused on even as an undergraduate. Every paper, every discussion post, every opportunity that I could get, I would wedge data management into that conversation. And it turns out a lot of the leadership lessons, classes, courses, studies, resources are very relevant to data management. Organizational behavior and change management are are tightly intertwined with successful data management. I think did I cover everything you wanted to hear?
Anything else you want to share about yourself, or
Sure.
that's pretty good. That's a good start.
I guess I would say to you, Sean, that I share your anxiety. I took a couple of graduate classes as part of my undergraduate studies. I got permission to take like a grad management, org leadership and behavior class, and anyway, I took a couple of classes, but I have some anxiety about being a graduate student, my ability to keep up, you know? Um, and I don't come from a family with a higher education background. Most of the people in my family never went to college. Most of the people in my family we're good, solid blue collar working class people. My cousins are firefighters and they work for Caltrans out in the state of California. Or my sister works for Cal Fire, and my niece works for really good quality jobs. They have a great quality of life, but a higher education wasn't even part of the landscape. So I've got some family history stuff in there that is, that reptilian part of your brain that is telling me that, Cindy, you don't have this in you. And I have to regularly shush those. I have to quiet those voices, if you will, Sean. So there you go. I share your anxiety, and hopefully learning together, we'll figure out a way to get past them.
I'm sure you will. I would add that, I may have I got a slew of degrees, and I have, it's curious to me how I ended up at this juncture, and to some extent, except I've always said this, and it's still, of course, it's true. Every one of the areas that I've worked in and done scholarship was out of deep interest. And that was from the time I was a kiddo, where if something didn't interest me, didn't hold my interest, sorry, I was not interested in it, and I wouldn't do that, and it barely, landed in my first undergrad degree, which turned out it to be in geology. Well, in geology, I got to go work in the mountains and look for treasure. And I thought, this is really interesting, and it was, and it was my introduction to doing some science and watching real scientists. And I thought, this has nothing to do with school, but this is interesting. And so, and things just, the dominoes fell, and all the different things where I went, okay, one day I said, I know enough about rocks. I'm really interested in writing, and where can I, scratch that itch? And that's how I ended up. And even to get my PhD, I went, gosh, I am really interested in this learning. And I'm just, didn't even have the words to describe it, but I had an interest, and that I got to find a place, someplace to do this. And um, I had hoped to find a program like the IMA or the predecessor program I mentioned before, um, because I saw how the value it had for students, and I couldn't find that for a PhD program. And I went, oh gosh, okay, I'll try this place that I, went, because the boilerplate, descriptions were, this is fabulous, everybody loves this. It wasn't true. It wasn't fabulous. It was okay, but I stuck to my own knitting, and made it work for me. And of course, as then COVID came along, and it kind of afforded me an opportunity to just keep my head down and plow along. And that was fine with me if I didn't have to deal with the bureaucracy and the administrative facade that seemed to jump out at me. Then I was happier doing that. So, anyways, that's an aside, a little bit me. I think there's value in following your own instincts and looking for support where you can find it, and that's part of what I think makes this program really magical. I hope you experience that too, especially as you're starting. Um, Michelle, how about yourself? What would you have us know about you?
Okay, let's see. Um, well, I kind of after raising my family and going back and forth and getting kind of detoured off of my path, I've kind of been in recovery, and that has kind of led me to kind of work on being an artist and focusing on getting that emotional, mental, the squirrels fighting for the nuts in my head, taking that and putting it somewhere else. And for everybody, it's different. And for myself, I wanted to kind of merge the art therapy path, because what worked for me may not necessarily work for you, but you need to have a plan and try different things: frequency healing, water therapy, working out, the feel good endorphins, whatever it is for you, digging in the dirt, or knitting. Everybody's got a little something, and we all have something. It's kind of like it's either the hair in the sink or the crumbs on the counter. I don't care who you are, and trying to figure out what works for you. And I just couldn't co-sign or condone some of the academia that I was coming across, where it's like I lived through some of that stuff, and you can't, tell me this when, that's not what my experience was. And don't change, try and tell me that it's not valid. For everyone, it's different in their perception of the same situation. And like some of you, I found that there's got to be another path to get to it. And I think we all get to it differently. And some, kind of congregate a little bit more, kind of like, I don't know, being with the pack and the collective. But then every once in a while, I'm the lone wolf, and I want to have the freedom to jump in with whatever pack, I'm interested in it and feel I'm pulled towards to hopefully be a part of or an asset through, my experiences. And just trying to let people know that I'm not alone. You're not alone. We all go through it. And even people that are very, very analytical, versus so-called A personalities, or mental issues, emotional issues, and how we end up redirecting and creating new paths in order to be productive for ourselves. And then the micro, maybe, but charity kind of starts at home. And if I can't do this for myself and show others and share with others how I got through certain things, how can I help others? So it's kind of like the journey now that I have, my children are grown and having their own children, and I get to come back to this path on my terms, and, have no fear and be able to stand up with, my experiences, whether I agree with others or not, they're still valid. And, even people, get to, you know, learn from, the mistakes and experiences, and those are bad too, different perspectives. So I'm excited to be able to, be a part of it, and, hopefully leave a legacy, somehow, with my artwork or something. I don't know. It's yet to be unfolded. So I'm kind of excited for the ride.
Okay.
That's about it, I guess. I don't.
Thanks for signing up and coming on board.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be a part of.
Andy, you want to go next?
Well, sure. I have some experience with this sort of thing. I have an MFA from Goddard. Rest in peace. So I did an interdisciplinary Master of Fine Arts. I'm trying to remember exactly what they called the program, but very similar to this IMA concept, where it was self-designed. And I also had the bonus of COVID while I went through that. So, and I found that it was really important for me to do that for a lot of reasons artistically, but there's a lot of research that went into the art that I wanted to express in other ways. And there's there was an interest for me in data art, and I am just literally coming out of finals for a data visualization master's program that I undertook in hopes that that would be the way I wanted to go. And it was just not a good fit. So I'm leaving Maryland Institute College of Arts as of, I guess, Sunday was when I sent the last file over. And really hoping to bring decolonial studies perspectives with science and data from prehistoric environmental studies into what we know about surviving manuscripts for Irish mythology. There's a big, long millennial colonial issue at looking at Irish history. So, yeah, if that makes any sense at all, that's where I'm headed. And apologies, I'm just dead tired, and you got to cut and paste artist bio in the forum tonight.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And that sounds really densely exotic and mysterious in some ways to what you've shared. And it certainly piqued my curiosity as to how you might synthesize all of that together. But and I look forward to learning more about your interests and how you do envision bringing that to fruition. So thanks for sharing, Andy.
Thanks.
Allison, how about over to you?
Yeah, I'm Allison, as I said, in Ohio. Really how I ended up in this program was a little bit different. I graduated from a very like arts negative high school, and so even though at the time I was a very I was a very good musician, and I had a lot of interest in photography and creative writing. And I was initially going to go to the Art Academy of Cincinnati for creative writing. I had a high school counselor talk me out of it and scare me about just the arts as a career path. And so instead, I went to University of Cincinnati and I got my Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science. It wasn't a bad experience, but it was a very rote program. And I did the classic, straight 4 years. So there wasn't a lot of time or opportunities to explore. And I thought that I was going to be a lawyer. And in 2018, I sat for the LSAT. And my main takeaway from that experience was that there was probably a cheaper way to make myself miserable than going to law school, and that I would not enjoy that experience at all. Very glad I did not do that because I would have likely been going to law school in the middle of the pandemic, and that would have been awful, I think. So instead, I just kind of bounced around from jobs to jobs for a few years. I also, Cindy, worked in higher education really since 2018 until a few months ago. So my joke is always that I have been in school settings from the ages of 5 on. I've never left. But I basically somehow, through a series of events, ended up exactly where my guidance counselor in high school all those years ago had told me would be such a terrible, terrifying, miserable place. I worked for 3 years for the Art Academy of Cincinnati, loved that job dearly. The only reason I left was pay in higher ed is not always great. And I knew that I wanted to go on to graduate school. And I have moonlighted at concert venues. Some of my best friends are professional musicians. I spend my birthdays in recording studios now. I'm also a model for figure drawing classes and a few others. So it was just really interesting to see how I ended up sort of exactly where I was told it wasn't going to work and it was going to be so terrible and scary. So I don't necessarily have a fear of the master's program. I did do very well in undergraduate, and because I've been working around education for so long, I might have a slightly unearned sense of confidence in my academic abilities. But really, what I'm most interested in is I have been writing this entire time, even after I graduated high school, and the things that I've always written about are really deeply informed by my experiences of, being born in Appalachia and being raised in the Ohio River Valley. And I've always had a really deep desire to get to know people and make conversation. And I've gotten a lot of really cool stories along the way. But in the past 3 or 4 years, I've had a lot of experiences that were very different and interesting, but I have struggled to find my tone in writing about things that are happening to adult me rather than things that are happening to child me. And that, along with some other, just deficiencies that I've noticed in my own writing, I've developed a little bit of a fear of submission, because I think I can see in my own work the lack of a mentor and the lack of that professional guidance that I'm deeply self-taught in that specific way, which is really funny, I think, for me anyway, to feel like I'm self-taught despite the fact that I very much did go to a four-year college. And I was actually directed towards the IMA program when I was initially speaking with Antioch. I was looking at the MFA, and after speaking with a couple advisors, it was sort of suggested to me that this might be a little bit of a better fit because I do have a lot of varied interests in the arts. I'm a photographer because I am a part-time marketing specialist for the Sierra Club now, which is a really fun and interesting job, especially because my husband is a conservation chemist. So it's like the one area that our interests overlap. And because I don't have that studio experience from the 4 years, that I might find this a little bit of a gentler easing into a creative writing centric program. So yeah, I'm really excited. I really like the autonomous nature of the IMA program because, as I said, my first college experience was not very autonomous. I didn't pick any of my classes really. I didn't have a lot of say in what that experience was. So I'm really excited to kind of like take full ownership of the experience this go around. And if you hear a cat in the background at any point in our meetings, I'm so sorry. He is orange, he is Velcro, and he is so very mad that I am not actively paying attention to him right now. So.
Well, thank you very much, Allison. And you'll see me glancing to the side every now and then too. And I have a rescue dog that brought home a few months ago, and she often requires my full attention as well. But she's settled very nicely the last few months, and I hike her in the local mountains here every day. I've lost 12 pounds since I got this dog. And she's a young Dutch Shepherd, very animated, very intense dog. So from time to time, you'll see me glancing, and usually it's in her direction to see what she's up to. But she seems to be pretty content at the moment. Given that it's 10 after 4 my time, why don't we take a quick break now, come back here in 5 minutes, and then I'll turn to share my screen with you and point out some of the what I think are some of the highlights in our syllabus, so that you can fully digest them and get a sense of the lay of the lands as you move forward. But thank you for all of your sharing. It sounds like you've got varied backgrounds, very interesting backgrounds as well, and I sure look forward to supporting you as best I can. So see you back here in 5. That sound good for now? Okay. All right. You can go stroke that cat, Allison.
Hello. Much better.
Okay. Okay, it looks like everybody's back. Looks like there's a couple of shroomers amongst us, including myself, and I regret that I haven't been able to teach my dog how to sniff out truffles or chanterelles or anything like that just yet. She's very, very talented at many things, but alas, she's not a shroom sniffer. Um, but I was out earlier today, and found my first chicken of the woods of the year. But it's interesting. And when I looked it up today, it is sort of a shell fungus. I think Cindy, you were mentioning chicken of the woods in a message to me, and this is one at the guidebook I have said um, they're mainly edible, barely edible, but may lead to indigestion for some. And the advice was don't cook and feed this to lawyers, policemen, or pit bull owners. Oh, I noted that, and I will take that under in full consideration. But let's move along and get to have a glance at start with the syllabus, just sort of root on down that. And so I'm going to share my screen. And please, let's see, I share my screen, try to keep track of questions that you may hold, and try to keep this overview to, to a minimum, maybe 20 minutes or so. And if you can remember the questions you wish to ask, then let's reconvene and get a chance to air your questions about what I share here. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Okay, you should all be looking at this now. This is the syllabus you should all have access to. And I imagine you did, because that's how you likely got here. Description of the learning outcomes. It's certainly worth having another look and really identifying these match your interests. Description of the, just a bare bones description of the assignments and assessment process. Course materials here, that's a long listing, that they may be subject to change as we ramble along. And so the ones that we've really, the ones that will, thrown the ones into the schedule itself that I really want, I hope that will guide our exploration as we move along. So, but this is sort of a just a place where we're parking. We parked some of these references for now, the course materials. Resources, the IMA program handbook. That's really important for you to have a look at if you haven't yet seen that. And I thought I might have a glance at that. Maybe not. Maybe we don't need to do that. So how can I get rid of that for now? Well,
Click the X in the right-hand corner of the window that popped up. No, the one next to it, the X.
don't have an X in mind,
Oh,
but gone now. Gone for you? Okay. Degree plan checklist. That's another helpful checklist for you to refer to. Same with the timeline. Most people get this wrapped up in, I dare say, 2.5 to 5 years, and you'll be checking in throughout this time with people like Ashley and Joe, and your key advisors as you move along, and they'll be helping nudge you along as well. So you can count on that support and that opportunity for you to provide feedback. I haven't known of anybody who's been left out in the wilderness in this program. It's not a characteristic of the style, and I think that's a real attribute of the program as well. Glossary. I've put this together because I wish somebody had made up something or shared something like this for me, beginning of my studies, PhD studies. This is not something for you to memorize, maybe check off as you hone your own skills, expand your own vocabulary. These are some of the terms that you'll come into contact with, especially as you move into doing your own research. And I think that you'll value just having the opportunity to have a peek at this from time to time, particularly with respect to your own research. Now I'm going to go back to, right? That's the glossary. Capstone and thesis examples. This is really helpful, I find, so that you can see what others have done and recently. What does that look like? Now, these are the presentation styles, so that's what they've mainly cached here. There's nothing to stop you from reaching out and seeking to contact these people. I know most of these students, and I know that they'd be delighted to offer you further insights into their work, their projects, should you be interested. So there's a listing. There are some thesis presentations, and yeah, these were all really interesting final projects, capstones, and theses along the way. I threw this one in here, this digital humanities guide, because this is a really interesting time to be doing research. There are more tools available for you than ever before, particularly afforded by technologies, and we haven't even talked about AI yet. But the landscape of the digital humanities, if you're unfamiliar with them, is that this is where people have sought to display and reveal their project work in different ways than a traditional dissertation or thesis or project, which, face it, comes out of a long history of text only, with a few graphs thrown in and things like that. Well, fortunately, that landscape has evolved, and continues to evolve. And one of the areas where you see a lot of really rich elaboration on project work and research is in something called digital humanities. So this has a lot of really interesting examples of projects that are either fairly recently completed, or are still in process. You know, people that are involved in some of these projects, the beauty of this format is that you can go back in a digital format, and you can alter it. Once it's you haven't just set something to the type fitter, and you get your dissertation back in a bound cover, and that's it. It's locked in and sealed forever. Digital humanities is not like that, and neither are similar projects that rely on technology. For example, I looked at this. I wanted to extend my own thesis work from last year, and I thought, well, digital humanities, sometimes you're looking at digital humanities projects can be rather pricey. And I thought, well, what can I do on the side of my desk that just helps me map out some of my ideas, pack in some of my dissertation work, and try to bring that forward. And I landed on, I got it. I already have a personal website, and a WordPress website, and I see if I can show it to you here. Just go and quickly just show you an example of this. I just should hope you're still seeing this. This is my personal website, and I just started loading in information and anchors in this very website, and you can put in more. You can obviously load in graphics and videos and audio clips, and this helped me enliven my own work. And this only took a couple days and didn't cost me anything extra at all. So that's another example of that. So you might just take your time and explore some of the project examples from either the IMA capstones and thesis examples, or in the realm of digital humanities. For your benefit, I included this document, quick slideshow, some tips for you. Hope you have a chance to have a glance at it. It's not dense, it's not overly scientific or anything like that. But I hope that you get off to a great start in this project. And this is just, I think, offering you some tips forward, as the same vein as some of the other references here. I wish somebody provided this for me when I started out. And, some suggestions like, wow, if something's not working out, make sure you ask questions. No one is going to be the stronger advocate for you than you can be. And if you have a question about something, chances are somebody else might have the very same question. So I encourage you to move into that realm of being curious, being an explorer, enjoying being a novice again, and not having the answers to everything, and know that that's fully expected, given that you're just starting down this path. A couple of things here on AI and qualitative research, and a UNESCO guidance on generative AI. I figure I'll bring up AI as a subject for us to chew on in a couple of weeks' time. Let's move a little further down the syllabus then. Here's some. This is the main, the main attraction here, the schedule, and there in the left-hand side we review. We posted some of the topic headlines that we'll be focusing on, and in the right-hand column, that's where we will be providing some details about assignments, things like that. For this coming week, how about we talk about that? This is known as week 1. And there's little expectation that you're going to have, we want to give you an opportunity this week to become familiar with some of the references, resources, take a little extra time to go through the syllabus and some of those references I just pointed out for you and the resources. Get familiar with things like AU Connect, and just settle in. It's a week for settling in, for sharpening your pencils and trying out your new pencil case, that sort of thing. And the weekly prompt that we ask you to concern yourself with, that is something that we would ask that you. Let's see, we're having our class on Tuesday. My request is that you provide an answer to this. It's a weekly prompt to keep you writing, to keep you in the flow of the course by, say, the end of Friday. And I like to have a chance to read these and respond as well. And this is for this weekly prompt assignment. Would ask that you complete that in the AU Connect forum. So your name pops up there. We'll go there in just a second. And that's where I would ask that you provide your weekly prompt reflection, and also comment on at least one of your classmates' prompts as well. I'm a great believer in collaboration and group conversation, and I'd like to encourage that. The AU Connect site is a very adequate place to do that, to share with each other, and I don't think it's onerous to ask you or suggest that you provide a comment to at least one of your classmates' prompts there as well. The educational landscape assignment, it's due the following week. It's just really asking you to, as I say right here, create a mind map showing a diagram showing your personal educational landscape and consider these questions. What were your educational experiences? What were the ones that were most memorable? What guided you to this point? What is most important that you want to share about who you are? That's part of your internal conversation about your own journeying here. And I will say that this forms a significant aspect of most IMA students' work. There's, we're not shutting out the subjective experience here, personal experiences. We're honoring them and encouraging them for you to bring them into your own presentation space, to validate them. I brought that into my own master's thesis and my PhD, and while it was a little unusual, it was very rewarding to the work that I eventually did there. And so this is just helping you get started down that path. This is the style and the flavor of the IMA program, is validating personal experiences, and that's what this particular assignment is going to help set in motion for you, I hope. Literature review, that's coming in again in a couple of weeks' time, but we're still in week 1 here, and you can see it's welcome, instructor introduction, blah blah blah. Those are the themes of this week, and this is where we present some writings for you, and for the expectation is that you'll read the writings and perhaps include them in your reflection on these in your weekly prompt. I've chosen these two particular writings for this week because they're not really dense academic works, but I think they too set in motion. They're oriented or aligned with the spirit of this program. the life writing and metasage excerpt. It's from a book. I don't have the book here at the moment, but somewhere else in the house. Wonderful academic text, really interesting. And it's an excerpt, and it really helps validate personal voice. And the second paper, The Context Within My Journey into Research, is a really interesting paper as well from an Indigenous perspective, honoring otherness, honoring other forms of research than classic scientific Western, the Western canon, the Western approach to doing objective science. It too is an honoring of otherness, indigeneity, and certainly personal voice and cultural voice. So I hope you'll enjoy those. I think they're quite rich papers. Optional is if you've got a lot of time on your hands and you're interested in a much denser paper. It's by Paulo Freire. If you've ever never heard of him, he was quite a renowned Brazilian author, educator, sociologist who whose claim to fame was igniting, entering the barrios of the cities of Brazil, and encouraging literacy amongst people who had been told that they were illiterate, and he absolutely gave them a whole new level of literacy and helped empower them in many ways, not just educationally, but politically. That's Paulo Freire's story and his very famous book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And this is chapter 1, which starts that in motion. Though it's for you to consider, it's not a requirement. Again, there are some of the resources, some more resources for literature, and we'll be on to week 2 in next Tuesday. And I know Peter and I are still planning on just going through and making sure that we've got the right goods here for what we want to set up as we look and probably prioritize some of these readings in the different threads, humanities versus social science, and then on to some of the deeper assignments that will be coming in the following weeks. But as I said, I think that that should probably set the table for this week. I would like to just show you the AU Connect site if you haven't seen this yet. So this is the site for our particular class, and this is where we well, certainly you have a lot of resources available here to you. Antioch resources on the thumbnail of the thumbnail variety, the links that are over there. I'm not, overwhelmingly thrilled with Antioch's technology, but it is in motion there. They are overhauling different things here, but for this site, I think it works well. I hope that you experience technological success as you enter in here. And you can see this is the form. There's the course homepage here. And just there's the toggle links to the forum. And the forum for me is where it's our own conversational space. And Cindy has done a great job of putting in her bio, a link to a YouTube video. Sean's contributed in here. Michelle has, Amanda has, I have. And this is where, again, I would encourage you to complete your weekly prompt and converse. This is a place to ask questions, if you're so inclined, or share resources with us. I really value this. And this, based on your contributions here, this is part of your grade per se, just contributing to this. But I think it's, I hope you'll find it valuable. With that, I think I'm inclined to stop yakking and get back to you to ask some questions. If you are so inclined, we got a few minutes to go here. I booked the class from 3:30 to 5 for 90 minutes, knowing that we often will spill over in time, and we have a little extra time to ask questions, share insights, that sort of thing. So I'm done for a minute. I'm going to catch a drink here, and please, I'm interested in hearing from you.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
That handbook is hefty. I'm glad it's digital. There's a lot of content in there. So if you were going to suggest to a new student who has a little bit of anxiety about their new graduate program, any suggestions about places to drill into? That's question one.
Okay, sure. Let me go back to it. That's here. Oh, yes, the handbook. I guess it's the way I would approach it, Cindy, is maybe just scroll through it and there's a history, there's a program overview, what we do. It's a cup of coffee to go through here and just make a note of a couple of things that might interest you. It's something you can go back to again and again, and it hasn't changed much in the last few years. And so, but it helps orient you to your own directions. I'd say once a term, it's probably really helpful, especially the first year for you, or every few months, to note what in here is important for you. What would a lot of it won't be relevant to you at a particular time, but there may be things, notes of policy that pop up. You might want to know about the specializations a little further down the road. You don't need to know about them right now. You might want to know, this, diagram. Like I said, it's like a handbook when you're new on the job, and it's an orientation. It's meant to help orient you.
I can scroll through there. I just wondered
Yeah.
if your years with the program, if you're like, yeah, this is a section that you might want to drill into. But I can peruse it, and then I can bring it back to the forum, to this group, or directly to you if I have questions. Does that sound smart?
Yep, for sure. Look, I'm almost through it. Didn't even have more than a couple of sips.
Okay.
So, there's nothing pressing in there that I can see. But it's a great question, what's the purpose of the handbook? Just to spell some things out there. If you've got a conflict, there's some information in there. If you're thinking about, what do you want to know about specializing, and the different threads in the program. There you go.
Okay. My second question was about the weekly prompts and the use of the forum. So in the forum, and I'm just getting used to AU Connect. I'm transitioning to AU Connect from the use of Sakai, the other LMS that is used here in Antioch.
Mhm.
So it looks to me like there are only 8 of us in that class. So that's just the 8 of us. It's not all of the students who are taking that foundations.
No, 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 it's not all, it's not all of them. And sorry, I cut you off. What else?
Well, so question 1, like, is it just us class members that are in that group? Question 2, it seems like the forum is available for us to engage with each other, to share information, to ask questions. So do you have a preferred format that we use that says, this is my weekly arisings post, so that we know which posts we should be reading to comment on as part of our commitment to participation in this class?
Yeah, let me go back to it. I do not have a favored presentation style in here. I favor the informal myself in this particular format. This is meant to be, for me, meant to be conversational. I've been doing conversational technology forums since the early 1990s, and so value them for people to ask things and share things. So formal presentation styles is never comes into my list of priorities when I think of these particular kinds of forums. But I will show you what also comes up for me is, so it's known as a group, this particular group. And it's this, what is this? This is a group with, it's identified as having 10 members. And 2 of those members are Vanessa Cabrales and Ashley Nielsen as well. And they are required, Antioch requires them to have access to this particular forum or group. But I will say that there is also, so that is our personal one. There's also the IMA Program Central, your information hub. I'm glad you brought this up. So that this is a much larger one. The resource page and the central forum, and this one has a message from Vanessa and Ashley and Tony, and a team often publishes information about opportunities, but it's pretty dead in here. You can see this is from 2 months ago, and I'm only down on the 5th message, so it's not particularly fresh, and I regret that. I've done my part to try to stir conversation in there, and this is going to be the main event, I think, for us for the foreseeable future. But it's worth checking into the other one from time to time, and you should be getting notices in your email when someone does post in there and when someone posts in here as well. I get notices in here, so maybe that's a settings issue. I'm not sure if you are, or if you want to have them. Probably just better if you just have this on a tab open and check it every few days, something like that. Does that help you out?
It does help me out. And then just one last question on that. And I am coming out of classes where there are faculty who are not so comfortable with the informal and are quite persnickety about how discussion posts are made. So what I was hearing is that you're interested in our thoughts and you're interested in our writing and you want us to engage, and how we don't have to format citations in the APA format for our weekly posts. Is that?
That's correct. Okay. That's correct.
Thank you.
I'm interested in stimulating your creativity and your reflective processes, your reflexivity, and so I'm not a stickler for style guidelines. I prioritize that over style guide. If you want to, I would never discourage it. If Peter wanted me to emphasize the importance of he is a bit of a stickler for APA styling, and he will be emphasizing that. probably maybe a little more so in his forum, but also as Peter Berg, the other instructor, we will both be requesting that. You choose a style, and if APA is just a very commonplace one, for the other assignments, the more formal assignments. And it's a good habit to just start cranking on sooner rather than later. Get familiar with one and try it out. It's part of the academic experience is identifying how how knowledge is validated, and knowledge, that very process evolves over time, and it's a living process, a dynamic process. And at particular moments, it may look frozen, but there is movement, and it'd be worth. We will be discussing this as we go forward. It's a really important topic to discuss. What constitutes knowledge, and so I look forward to those conversations, ongoing conversations, as we head on down the road in this course.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, thoughts, reflections, epiphanies?
I'm short on epiphanies, but I would like just to clarify for my own self here. The Friday due date for the prompts, is that just this week or is that every week?
I would encourage you to set that for every week, Friday night and kind of thing. And
just because it says Wednesday.
Yeah, you know what? I need to change that. I saw that. I forget where I saw it, and I've had a list here. The last couple of weeks going through. I need to change that, and make note of most of them. But I forgot where that prompt is. Probably in our schedule, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere in that initial stuff. But I just wanted to make sure when I wrote Friday here.
Yeah, I'll correct that. And for my group. For this group, let's aim for Friday, and I'm not going to penalize you if you haven't done it, but it's kind of probably a helpful prompt for you too to complete that. There'll be other assignments, and you'll want to turn your attention to them as well. But this could be habitual, that you say Thursday 5 to 6. Get my cup of coffee and or happy hour beverage and sit down and complete my reflection, and there it's done, kind of thing. So that's a suggestion. And if something comes up, of course, you can always contact me with questions and thoughts and advisories about things. I'm around.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Sean, Allison, Michelle, everything copacetic?
Yeah, I'm more of someone who just kind of figures it out as I go. I will ask questions as they arise, but the other people in the class have asked the questions that have been on my mind, especially the Wednesday portion of postings. Now that I know that it's Friday, it gives me a little bit more time during my week. So thank you.
I'm going to try and find where that. I think that's going to be important for me to find that. It's got to be in our schedule here somewhere, right?
It is.
Assignments.
Oh, first post due Wednesday. I got that. Okay. I'm going to put Friday for Michael. There. It says that now. So Wednesday, done. Out of there.
I do have one question. Are you also wanting the responses to our classmates on Friday, or is that Monday?
No, I would think that you need some time to read them, and so by the next class, by our next, the following Tuesday class, and there'll be times when you go back and forth, there'll be a conversation that unfolds, and that's the rich part of it. So that will be enriching, and um, I hope that that's how you experience it as well. You find that value in it. Well, everybody, if you're good to go, we'll sign off here today. Again, I want to honor you and your courage and stepping forward into this, and taking a chance on something that is a little unconventional, a little different. I think from what you've all shared, I think you've probably found a good home for yourselves, and look forward to helping you on your journey in any way that I might. And please feel free to consider yourself invited to reach out to me as we go forward. And otherwise, we'll see you on AU Connect, and certainly see you in a week's time.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
You too.
Night.
Have a great night. Have a great week. Ciao then.